Okay, we're here with Ava Clark, and we're just gonna ask you a few questions about your experience with Juneteenth.
Okay.
Um, when did you first begin to celebrate Juneteenth?
Today.
Today. All right, and what are your thoughts on it so far?
Well, I had heard about Juneteenth years ago. I'm originally from New York, and up in New York, we just didn't celebrate it because it probably wasn't related to us. And when I moved to Florida, I had heard about it, and then kind of was aware of it. But today was the first celebration I actually experienced it.
Okay, by this being your first Juneteenth celebration, do you think it should be known nationally?
Yes.
Okay. And in addition to that, do you think that they should incorporate it in schools?
Yes, definitely. In fact, one of the things I was with the institute yesterday for Palm Beach County, and I teach second grade. And one of the things I already did yesterday was write a lesson plan for including it for my students, because I think all students need to know what happened. And it's very shocking that 2.5 years went by before people were told.
Why is historic preservation important to you?
Because it keeps a part of who we are, and in order to know where we're going and know where our future is, we need to know what we've done before. A lot of times we cannot repeat the same mistakes and learn from our mistakes, and get a better understanding of America and of the world, and for that fact.
Okay, if you had to sum Juneteenth in one word, what word would you pick?
One word. Deceit, because of what originally happened. Monetary value of someone other than the African Americans. And now to be able to say, this is our history, we must always make sure we're informed, and to make sure we're reading the newspapers. Back then we couldn't. Now, either reading the newspapers, keeping aware of what's going on, we need to be informed so that something like this doesn't ever happen again.
I'm here with Mr. Tommy Stevens, and one question I have for you, sir, is what was your experience like during the Civil Rights Movement?
Okay, well, back in 1969, I served as a student body president of Carver Junior Senior High School in Delray Beach, Florida. We had the four major high schools, black high schools in Palm Beach County, were in the process of being phased out. And they was phasing out all of the black schools to turn them into junior high schools. But during that time, the black schools, we had the best football team, the best basketball team, the best baseball team, but we were smaller schools. But the white schools was afraid to play us because they knew that they would lose. So they started this movement through the school board that they was going to phase out all of the black high schools, turn them into middle schools, and then bus the black kids to the white schools. So during that time, once I got the word as the president of the student body at Carver High, we decided that we would do a boycott. We would go out, walk out of the schools, and we would stay out for a certain period of time to see if we could get the recognition of the school board to understand that we was not in favor of what they were trying to do. So I talked to our principal at that time, was Mr. Anthony Holliday. Mr. Holliday and I were on very good terms because we would have monthly meetings of the student council, and I, being the president, I would be in charge of those meetings. So after I informed him that we were going to boycott to try to save our schools, I told me that it was okay if I used the intercom, and I called all the kids to the gymnasium, and I explained to them what was going on, and I told them that we was going to boycott, and that I would use the radio to let them know when to return back to school. So I set up a meeting with Joe Fisher, who was with WRBD, to let the kids know that we were going to be out until they heard the phrase, let it all hang out. Then that means to return back to school. During that period of time, we had meetings with the president of the student body, David Freeman, was with West Palm Beach. We had another president at Kennedy, and then there was another school called North Shore. And we would all have meetings in different locations, bringing the kids together to inform them on what we was doing, and to try to, keep this with all of the schools, all of the black schools in the county. During the process of about 3 days, the school board contacted me. The chairman of the school board contacted me and asked me what was our problem and why was we doing this. I explained to him that all of us had a bad case of the flu, and that we would return back to school until they make a decision on what they was going to do about these black schools. So Mr. Clifford Durden was our advisor, and I informed him if he wanted to talk to one of the teachers or the advisor to contact Mr. Durden. In the meantime, I was constantly in contact with Mr. Clifford Durden, letting him know what was going on, and Mr. Durden would let me know what was going on. They finally came up with a meeting between the school board and Mr. Durden and the other school sponsors, and they decided not to phase out the schools in 1969 to keep them as high schools. The following year, after I graduated, they had another walkout because they were going to do the same thing again. So the president at that time did another boycott. They saved the schools for 69 and 70, but in 1971, they turned them all into middle schools.
It's a pleasure to be here today. It's really interesting when you think about Juneteenth, because it does mean freedom to me and fellowship and just coming together. And being a native of Delray, that's what I knew from my father, who was such a strong believer of freedom and unity in the community. And he was C. Spencer Pompey, as well as my mother, H. Ruth Keys Pompey. My father, he was such a strong activist, and he believed in community service and education. And he too was one of the founders of EPOC. He's gone naturally about 13 years ago, but he leaves quite a legacy in the sense that he worked very tirelessly in the community to bring unity and love there. He was one of the men that worked with Thurgood Marshall to make sure that black teachers had equal pay in Palm Beach County, and he also worked to get the Delray Beach open to blacks to attend. I now know through my father and mother what our purpose here is on this earth, and that is to serve others and to serve mankind. And they both, they were just such educators, and they just worked tirelessly with seniors and the youth to make sure that we could have and provide as much to our community and have equal opportunity for all.
Okay, again, we're here with Cheryl Pompey and her experience with Spady and the Juneteenth celebration.